All right. So right away, I've logged in and I'm in my advancement app, and this is my advancement homepage. So I have to call out these homepages are very configurable. And I think one thing that Salesforce customers love doing is tailoring what people see, what users see on the homepage based on the type of user that they are and the type of role that they have at your organization. So I've tailored this for an advancement view. But if there's other areas on campus who are also using Salesforce, they might log in and see a completely different set of information as part of their homepage that might be more geared towards the recruitment and admissions process, like understanding how many students or prospective students are in that applicant pool, for example. But right now, we're focusing on advancement, so that's what I'm seeing here. So I've added a dashboard so that I can start immediately seeing relevant information around the top opportunities that I'm managing, what types of opportunities and what are the amounts of the opportunities in my pipeline, which stage in the moves management process are all of those opportunities in, and how am I tracking against my all-important campaign goals. These dashboards also are very configurable. They're tied directly to Salesforce reports. This can also be augmented by Salesforce's CRM analytics capabilities. If you want to get even, bigger and fancier with what types of insights you have people seeing on their homepage. So it's very configurable, but it's really easy to show people relevant, actionable, and useful information straight away when they've logged in. Likewise, I can see a list of the recent account records that my user has interacted with, as well as tasks that are assigned to me, my user in the system. So again, this is really the one-stop shop and a very actionable place for people to land when they log into the CRM, and they're able to immediately start seeing things that they can start interacting with or following up on or performing in the system. Next, I'm going to pull up Sophia alumni, a typical alumnus of my institution. So right away, this is a really, really robust profile, a really robust alumni profile. There's a lot of information packed into this screen. Just like the homepage, it is configurable. So if this is too much, you could decide that you might need to narrow down and not have so much information immediately visible on the alumni profile page. Or, the more the merrier. Different organizations might take different approaches to what the configuration of these screens looks like. But right away, I can start seeing a useful overview of who Sophia alumni is, her contact information, an about me section, her birth date, age, and as well as things like address, email, phone number, location. So I immediately have information about Sophia that I can start leveraging. Over on the left, I can see a fundraising timeline. So this keeps track of the different fundraising or advancement related transactions, gifts, proposals, pledges, and how those fall over time so that I can very easily see what some of her recent activities were in the fundraising sphere. Right in the middle of the page, I have an action launcher. So this is, again, really geared towards helping users very quickly and effectively do the tasks that they need to perform. So I can create a case if there's like a question or a concern that Sophia has raised that might require some follow-up, or think of kind of donor support type activities. I can add a task if I need to remind myself to reach out to Sophia with certain information or ask her to schedule a meeting or schedule a call, and I can send her an email directly from Salesforce, and that will also be logged in the system automatically. I'm also able to see life events, so this gives me just a really great snapshot view of some of the highlights of Sophia's life, so that right away I'm able to see and understand where is this person in their relationship to the institution, so I can see that she enrolled and graduated. I can see where she's employed, and where she's living. So these might be useful tidbits of information to help me make a connection with her and encourage her to give to the institution. Down below, I can actually see and track information such as her income and assets and what giving she might have given to other organizations. Again, just trying to understand a little bit more about her propensity and capacity to give to our institution. And I can see a more granular view of some of those same records that showed up in the fundraising timeline. So I can see specific transactions, both paid and unpaid. I can see that she has an active pledge that she made. And right now she doesn't have any soft credits associated with her. The opportunity is where I would track essentially a proposal or a potential gift. So this is what a gift officer would use to really cultivate and work with Sophia to define her giving priorities and make sure that we put together a proposal that aligned with those priorities as well as the institution. You'll have a place to track your contact reports. So as you engage with Sophia and interact with her, you'll have a place to keep track of all of those notes and follow-up items all in one place. I'm able to see her relationships, so I can see that Sophia has a spouse who's also in the system, and this list can expand as more relationships are captured between Sophia and other alumni, other people in her network, to see if there's anything that we can do to leverage those relationships. And I can see her academic history, her person academic credentials. So I can see that she received a BS in computer science in 2003. So that's a lot of information packed in there. I've also got interest tags where I can keep track of what are the things that Sophia is interested in. Maybe it's something that could be useful for a solicitation. Maybe it's something that I could just help keep her engaged with the institution, invite her to a football game, see if she's interested in purchasing tickets, see if there's a webinar that the college is doing on machine learning, whatever it is, I can track those in the system. And one cool thing I like about the interest tags is if you click on one, you can also start seeing which records have the same tag. So if other individuals or other records are related to the same interest, it's very easy to quickly start kind of cross-pollinating that information and seeing how you can leverage it. And on the right, I see her kind of snapshot donor details in terms of her overall giving history. So these are roll-ups that they do come out of the box in Education Cloud, but they can also be tailored if you want to create your own calculations or statistics that you want to track. And those will usually update on a nightly basis. Like I said, a lot of information is packed into this alumni profile. We really want to make sure that users are able to quickly understand the 360-degree view of who is Sophia, what is she doing with our org, what is she interested in, how do I get in touch with her. So next, I'm going to look at a campaign record. So in Salesforce, campaigns can represent kind of the macro level, all-encompassing advancement efforts of your institution, as well as some of the more granular individual appeals that you might send out on a monthly basis or on a more frequent basis, and the relationships between that micro and macro as well. So this would be our capital campaign, the kind of umbrella effort of a really, ambitious fundraising goal to build new buildings and, new institutions or new institutes or centers, really robust student scholarships and support funding, everything under the sun that's an important priority for your school. Would fall under the big capital campaign. And down here on the right, I can see a campaign hierarchy where those individual efforts are nested underneath my capital campaign. Again, I'm able to start tagging these so that I can start associating certain keywords with an individual record. And here I can assign optionally what's called a gift default designation so that as gift transactions are actually processed, they would by default be associated with, in this case, my general fund, although we'll see when I get into gift entry that that's something that can be overridden if the default doesn't apply on a gift by gift basis. So next I'm going to dig into my spring appeal here. So again, this is going to be a more granular appeal effort that fits within that big institutional cross-campus campaign. And so I'm able to track both as well as the relationship between them. I can track discrete tags as well as discrete default designations that don't have to be inherited from that parent campaign if it's not appropriate. And here's where I can start getting even deeper into the weeds and even more granular with more specific outreach source codes to track individual messages, individual emails, or certain channel messaging, as well as individual fundraising segments. So you can get very, very detailed in knowing, who's getting what type of fundraising message, which channel is it coming from, or which attempt if it's multiple attempts, and all of that will roll up in these outreach summary statistics to the campaign. And again, these do come out of the box in kind of a template calculation version, and those calculations can be modified on an institution by institution basis if you decide to calculate things or you have your own criteria or rules for what needs to be counted and how. All right. Next, I'm going to shift focus again, and I'm going to look at from a kind of gift officer perspective. This is how I start seeing and managing my portfolio. So this is what's called an actionable list in Salesforce. And so I can quickly see that I have been assigned this set of records in the system. Each one of them has a different status or stage of where they are in my fundraising process with them or my relationship with them. And I can quickly start seeing some of their contact information. So theoretically, maybe I have this Robert Schmidt individual in a qualification status at the moment. Maybe I've given him a phone call, I've started having some conversations to see what his interests are and if there might be some alignment between his interests and our fundraising priorities. And I can very quickly update his status and move him into the cultivation stage. So this is going to be a great kind of hub for those gift officers or relationship managers to see who's in their pipeline, and the columns that are visible here are also configurable. So if you need to highlight different pieces of information to make this list even more actionable for your giving officers, that's definitely something that they'll be leveraging on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to go back to Sophia, and we're going to look at the other side of that moves management process, which is the actual opportunity, which, as I mentioned, really represents a potential giving proposal. So this is Sophia's proposal for a scholarship endowment that we think that she might be interested in giving a donation for. So right away, I can start seeing some of the actual actions or activities that have taken place with regards to this proposal. So those are shown right out in the front page. Again, as usual, the page layouts are configurable. So if you'd rather see the details of the proposal instead of the activity around the proposal first, that's a very quick change to make. And I can see the details of what type of gift this is, which stage it's in, the proposed amount, how long it's been in the current stage, and when my planned ask date and close date are. So over time, as I'm working with Sophia to have discussions and kind of cultivate her potential to give here, I can see that Salesforce is automatically tracking that stage history over time, and it's super easy to update the stage from one to the next. So now she's in the solicitation stage, and we're just going to assume that she already accepted my proposal, because of course she did. So it's very, very easy for users to very quickly align the moves management conversations and discussions that they're having with prospects and donors into the way that they're interacting with the system and capturing that activity. As I update that stage, the probability also updates accordingly as she's moving up that pipeline and more likely to give. So next, I'm going to show that Sophia does have an active pledge. It's a smaller pledge, but she does have an active one that she made last year. And so these gift commitment records are what allow you to track gift commitments. So it includes both pledges as well as recurring gifts, anything that has sort of a schedule of some sort associated with it, even if it's an irregular schedule, that's totally okay. But where there's more than one transaction that's part of this promise to give. So I can very quickly see that this was a recurring gift for $500, and I can start seeing that schedule of upcoming transactions, as well as that there was one that was unpaid left over from last year. It's also very easy to perform upgrades and downgrades. If she decides, hey, I've been giving you $25 a month for some time, I think it's time to kick that up to 50. Just quickly update that transaction amount, and I can set an effective start date for when that change is planned to take effect. I'll just go ahead and say today, and I will confirm. So it's super easy to make that upgrade happen. All right, and last but not least, I'm gonna shift gears into batch gift entry. Go over to my gift batches and click new. So Education Cloud does come with a sort of default template batch for, or yeah, a default entry template for processing these gifts in a batch. And as a template implies, it's definitely configurable. So it's a starting point for you to build upon. You can have multiple templates or just one depending on your needs. So here I'm going to enter a gift count, and I'll just keep it simple and do two $200 transactions. And you can optionally enforce whether Salesforce requires your entered gifts to match your estimated gifts here, just for some extra validation. All right, so I'm going to start doing new gift entry, individual, and now I'm going to start searching for Sophia. And right away, as I enter Sophia's information, it's starting to pull in her donor details directly from her existing record. So if I do need to make any changes to her email address or her phone numbers or where she's physically located, her name, I can start making those changes right away without needing to navigate to a different screen. I can say that I received a gift today. And because she does have a gift commitment, but I think that the date that it was expected was in June. Yeah, here we go. So if you enter a gift received date that matches within a certain kind of plus or minus days from the expected transaction date of one of her gift commitments, it'll tell me, hey, she's got an open pledge. Is this a pledge payment? So it very easily allows gift processors to make those connections between the transactions that are coming in and commitments that are already in place. So I am going to go ahead and apply this gift to this particular pledge. Here's where I can make the connection between this particular transaction and the source codes and campaigns that this transaction is being made in support of or in response to. And I will say that says $50 via check. And this is another kind of dynamic field. So depending on which payment method I select, it might give me different fields to populate with some of the kind of details that are associated with each payment method. But I will keep it as a check for now. And I'll say maybe the check date is today. And remember when I was showing those default designations, so this is being inherited from the pledge commitment that she's made, which has a default designation. I am able to either add additional designations and if she wants to split her gift for more than one purpose, or I can remove this one and create, select a new one from scratch. It's super easy to just add a row, decide this is gonna go half and half towards the scholarship fund and the general fund. And it does the math for you based on those percentages, or you can change the amounts and the percentages update. And it's so easy to just add a soft credit in here for Thomas. I'll just say soft credit. He's a household member, he's her spouse. and I'll say that he's getting 100% of the credit, which is of course the sum of each of these splits, that $50. One nice thing here is that I can actually, now that I've entered all of these details for this one gift, I can choose, I don't have to, choose to set these as a default. So if you have a batch of transactions that have a lot of the same details, like if they're all associated with the same appeal or the same event, by setting it as default, that's going to limit the number of values that a gift processor needs to enter for each row in the batch. So it's nice and easy to speed things up. Let's see, save that. Now we're moving into my next row, and you can see at the top that as I'm entering gifts, it tells me, okay, I've entered one out of my estimated two, I've entered $50 out of my estimated 200. So it keeps tabs as I go. And I'll do just one more gift, and we're going to go with Benjamin this time. Again, it pulls in his donor details, choose a date. In this case, Ben doesn't have any matching gift commitments. I'll select another source code, and this source code automatically pulls in the spring appeal because that's what it's associated with, that's what it's a part of. And this one's going to be $150, payment info. Again, I have that default designation. Maybe this time I'll just add a new one. He's going to give to the College of Arts and Sciences at 100%. And no soft credit this time. All right. Great. So that's my whole batch. That's all I expected to enter here. I'm going to refresh this page just to make sure I can see those entries. I can see those entries, and they start out with what's called this gift processing status of new. I'm going to click process batch. Tells me it's in progress. It warns me that it can take some time, but because this is such a small batch, it's actually not going to take that long. Of course, the bigger the batch, the more time that it will take, but hopefully when I click refresh, they've moved to success. So that means that if I pop back over to Sophia's record and start looking at her pledges, here I can see, whoop, in the fundraising timeline, I can see that $50 commitment, and likewise, I can see in the gift transactions her commitment here. And because I associated her $50 transaction with her existing pledge, I can also see that it updated the total paid transaction amount here as well. So that's the end of my demo today. I kind of ran the gamut from, talking about the big picture and talking about the campaign, all of that information that's available on Sophia's profile at just a few clicks away, depending on whether you want to see pledges or contact reports or relationships, all the way down to the gift processing and how easy it was to process my batch.